Still here. That's right. Still here. I believe 168 episodes later, little over 2 years. So much of life is about doing, fixing, solving, achieving. But at the end of life, it's not about what you do. It's about who's there.
Let go. Asteroid of fear.
Welcome back to another episode of the Men of the House podcast, and it is Unfiltered Friday. And we're going to piggyback off of last week's episode. Nobody should die alone. Nobody should have to die alone. Like before, kind of reflect back to Buck, the man who changed my life in a way that is choosing the direction I go in life. It's, I I think God works in mysterious ways. I can remember this one time someone coded in our parking lot, a gentleman, and he had brought his mother to the appointment. And as he was coding in the parking lot, I had to transport her to the trauma center where we were taking him. And I had to explain everything that was going on and what was going to go on. And I knew from my time in the ER kind of how things worked. There'd be a social worker, maybe a chaplain. Um, as they were stabilizing him, there wasn't going to be a lot of information. And, I basically shared how she needs to navigate this situation. And I can remember thinking to myself that all the experiences and education I'd had up until this point had led me to this moment where I was able to do this for this woman. You know, I was actually able to tell her as opposed to I don't know. I was clear without a doubt how things would go down and what she could expect. And then, we have this opportunity to be live-in caregivers for Buck because as a family unit, we believe nobody should have to die alone. I mean, that was one of the reasons my wife encouraged me as an only child to have my own children. Said, who's going to take care of you when you get old? Said, nurses and doctors. Not that I really want them to. But yeah, typically we like to keep it in the family. Um, cultural differences. Some people, it's just different, and that's okay. And I'm not asking anyone to be part of my culture, but my culture essentially has instilled values and beliefs in me of things that are important, which is family. Even when we don't get along, we're still family and we still come through for each other. And, that's what we were able to do for Buck because his family was in a totally different situation. Be it by choice, be it by bad blood, that's not my place to judge, nor is it my concern. My concern is the person who is facing the scariest moment of their life. and they have nobody to be there with them. But I feel modern care is very transactional. We have home health, hospice, hospitals, they all play a role, but the care they provide is often clinical and not emotional. I'm working on building a system. Well, scratch that. We, even though we don't live the longest, but we have the highest tech, we've built an incredible system for managing the body, from drugs to less invasive procedures, um, peptides, everything. But we're kind of forgotten how to tend to the soul. And as the country is in chaos, it politically divided, which almost seems more of a good and evil, religious, um, type of a thing. I don't know. Like maybe people have moved away from that. But, my belief in God, my culture, my heritage is what has led me to place such a high value and importance on family, death, whether or not people should die alone, my feelings about that. I often think of myself sitting on that bus the day that Dana got run over, alone, with nobody to explain anything to me in a very pivotal moment. But yeah, I was alone, and that was very scary for me, whether I knew it or not at the time. But I've been around death my whole life, a lot of it. And, you know, as people start having less kids, you got these double income, no kids, people are living longer. They're not going to have that person maybe by their bedside. So, you know, I am working to build a service that offers presence over perfection. People worry about saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing, but most of the time they just need somebody there. You don't have to fix somebody's pain to help them carry it. Like I told Buck, either God decides we walk you to health, I walk that path right next to you. If he decides it's to the end, I'll walk to the end of the path with you. I'll carry some of that load so you can have a little more ease. And this was kind of where the seed was planted of nobody should die alone. But it was roughly a couple of weeks ago in the shower. I think I mentioned this last week. I'm listening to Taylor Kitsch and Joe Rogan, and this comment of, yeah, nobody should have to die alone. It was just fucking aha for me. Like, I knew that moment without a doubt, like those words, and God spoke to me and said, this is it. This is your calling. Don't get me wrong, I've always been the non-clinical person amongst all the clinical people. I could have been a clinical person. I could have went to nursing school. I had no desire to. Um, I wanted to go to medical school, but I was told you probably won't be able to be the kind of doctor you want to be because you care too much. And when money and administration and denials and all that comes in, and it's just like the government. It's a machine, um, soulless overall, but you'll find the individuals like day to day. Those are the people who care. Most of them. Some of them don't. Some of them go into the medical field because it's a good job, secure job. If you're watching the video, you see my air quotes. You also see a different view. I'm doing this one from the desk today. Um, but yeah, just like military men who talk about they don't miss the military, they miss the people next to them. That's kind of how it often is in the ER, even the clinics I ran. I don't miss the games and the circus, but I certainly miss the clowns. But yeah, it's, that day I felt that was God telling me nobody should have to take their final breath wondering if their life mattered. Sometimes your quiet presence, being there beside them, that's the answer. If I show up for you, then you mattered. Too often in this world, we place value on, we value, your value is based on how much you make, how much you donate, um, what kind of house you live in, what kind of position you have, what degrees you have on your wall. You'll see nothing behind mine. You see sound tiles. Um, but yeah, we seem to have reduced value to what someone can accomplish, what salary they can make. And sure, I think there's a place to put value. Like Elon Musk rescued the astronauts from the space station who were stuck there. Yes, that's super valuable. And he happens to be, isn't he the richest person? So um, he adds value in many different ways. But I'm sure underneath all that, like he still has his own shit thoughts in his head and probably wonders, um, you know, what does somebody want from me? That's often a lot of value too. People with high value, they have trouble trusting people because everybody wants something from them. I'm not looking for anything. I'm put here to show you I'm a Christian. I believe in God. Whether you believe in God or not does not matter to me, but the fact that He put you here means you're valuable. And if He says you're valuable to Him, then that means you're valuable to me because I've been searching for my calling my entire life, battling with God back and forth. But the bigger picture is caregiving isn't limited to nurses or doctors. Yes, I could have been working in a clinic, a hospital, been a director of a facility, any of that stuff, making a lot more. But Buck was only approved for 11 hours through the VA, 11 hours a week. That's what we got paid through the home health services. And then he paid us out of pocket the remainder. And a lot of people would go, think it's a lot of money, but for 24/7 care, it really worked out to be about $6 and change an hour. It wasn't a ton, but health caregiving isn't limited to nurses and doctors. It's human work. We all have the capacity to care. Buck just lucked out that my wife used to work on a med surg floor and I was a practice manager and spent time in the ER and I was very familiar with death. But my wife was the one who trained me up on how to roll and change and put chucks under and, you know, empty Foley bags and, but I have the intelligence. I have a master's degree. I'm a pretty quick study. And then when they delivered, some of the other medical equipment, when it came time to need oxygen and different things like that for comfort measures, I was a quick study and learned quite a bit. But yeah, funny because I used to work for Seton or Ascension, and they rolled out that initiative, Human Care, and then I don't know. My wife's from the Woodlands, and I'm sure we were traveling through Houston and Methodist or one of those other two. Like, tried some riff off of that. It's like they probably fucking hired the same marketing company that, but and I'm not saying they do bad work. They all do good work. But everybody knows the system is the system, and everybody knows the issues with the system. The healthcare system's fucking broken. I mean, they deny shit that people need, make it difficult for people to get the shit they need. Um, I want to stay out of that game. I don't want to play in that sandbox with those people. I've already done that, and they're not my people. I trust me. I trust what I stand for. I trust my integrity. I trust my intentions. I trust my heart. And, you know, what I want is to offer people presence and not perfection, but, perhaps presence is perfection because it's real, it's raw. It reminds us we're not alone. You know, military people know that. Just for the guy to the right and to the left of you, putting up with the same bullshit that you're putting up with, having the same fucking thoughts that you're having. There's some real bonding over that. And even when Buck was passing and he knew and we had that understanding, and I just sat there and kept him comfortable. Morphine, ice chips, or, the little brush that keeps your lips moist. When you start passing away, you lose the ability to swallow. I knew when I gave Buck his evening meds and I heard him chewing them that he couldn't swallow. Although we were giving him some medication to assist with the swallowing to clear the mucus. Um, it's not mucus, I forget what they call it. Secretions. Yeah. Your body starts breaking down, you get secretions in your throat, makes it difficult to swallow, and the medicine assisted with that. But yeah, up until the end, filling up a little straw like this, the little trick, you put your finger over it and you take out and you drink a little. His favorite thing was Dr. Pepper. So I was giving him a little Dr. Pepper there towards the end because he used to tell me this story. He grew up in this part of town where there was a Dr. Pepper packing plant right down the road. And he would go down, like near this place. There was this burger place he used to talk about. And you could go down there and get a couple burgers and a couple Dr. Peppers for whatever it was, 25 cents. And yeah, I don't know who got more out of the experience, me or Buck, but he taught me a lot about life. Um, just some of the stories, learning about history, giving me a different perspective on things because he lived through so many different things. But yeah, he was an incredible man. I just enjoyed spending time with him. Those were my days when he wasn't napping. I wasn't making him food, changing him, getting him something. We'd be back there watching TV, and then I remember one time we put the fire stick on there, because cable, the cable company was being a pain in the ass and wanted to charge a bunch of fucking money to like put the cable box from the living room to that room. And so near the end of Buck's life, he learned how to use Amazon Prime, and he had found some Poirot and Hogan's Heroes. And I remember getting an email one day, and he's like, "It's like BBC, and this network has been added to your Prime subscription." I'm like, "Oh." I go in there and like Buck's watching Poirot and um, Father. I forget what the name of it. It's Father something, but yeah, he loved those old shows. And yeah, my wife and I are let it ride. It's $8 a month. He loves it, and I'll sit back there and watch it with him, and it was just great. You know, that was like the humanity of it. I'm not fucking finagling over $8 a month near the end of this man's life. Fucking try to nickel and dime him for everything like a hospital does. You know, charge you $8 for a fucking Tylenol when you can buy a double pack of Equate 100 count for $4. Yeah, our corporate greed has got in the way. People have forgotten that life is about humanity. You know, we make it about money, especially here in the West, the Western world, and people make dumb shit their priorities, like, I don't know, shit that just doesn't matter. Not gonna matter when you're gone. I mean, if you like Air Jordans and you like to collect sneakers and that's your thing, Scotty G, he loves sneakers, sneakerhead. He even sells some to fund the podcast when he needs to. Um, you know, you see books and guitars on the back of mine, and podcasting. I listen to a lot of podcasts, watch it. Like, um, I love good food. Those are my things. Everybody's kind of got their things, but really in the end, it's human connection. I mean, if we didn't need connection, there probably wouldn't have been Adam and Eve. Maybe have been Adam or Eve. But then, of course, we need a reproduction, I guess, but connection. I've talked about this in other episodes. What do we do to the worst fucking prisoners? You fucking isolate them, put them in solitary confinement. We know that fucks people up. What happened during COVID? You remember? People weren't able to see their families, looking through fucking windows, and oh, yeah, trouble with my hair here. Um, yeah, just I feel like we learned a lot, but maybe we still haven't got it all the way. But I want to change that because I met with my business coach. Shout out Alan Lazarus from Next Level University. Pitched the plan, and we're going to reverse engineer this bitch into success. You know, he and I have an interesting dichotomy because he values achievement, and I just value, to me, everything is not based on achievement or things, accomplishments. And sure, they're important. And I'm going to have to achieve some things to make this work, no doubt. So, achievement is important. You got to be willing to work for it. And I'm super nervous because I'm like, I do not want to go back to corporate. It's just not for me. This is for me. This is my heart. This is my truth. This is what I value. I want to take all the riffraff, all the stuff that some other administrator told me, this is what you need to focus on. This is what's important. This is what's going to drive better fucking health, blah, 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 blah. Highest technology, best technology, we don't live the longest. Why? Free will, big portions. We can't control people. Um, but welcome to America. But I can't participate in that because they're never going to fix it because they don't want to, because it works out for their favor. The insurance companies, the people with the businesses. But you know who doesn't fucking work out for? The patient. Make no mistake, they're all going to be patients one day too. Maybe they'll think about it differently. But yeah, I want the real human care, the real humankind. I want to be there for somebody who has nobody. I want to let them know they matter. I want to hold their hand and let them be reassured. Somebody here thought you were worth it. I may not have been here your whole life, but I'm here now. And while I didn't quite know this was the dream or the purpose until 2 weeks ago, I've really actually kind of been still performing the purpose all along because I don't know if I've mentioned, I'm sure I have, that, the gentleman we took care of for dialysis in my dad's complex, I still go and visit him an hour away every couple of weeks, make a delivery, spend a couple hours on the porch with him, talking and whatnot. And we have another gentleman who has nobody, who I've been, taking him to doctor's appointments, taking him shopping. Got to go get him his cart. Um, Gives me an excuse to drive the Walmart scooters. They do not go very fast. You gotta have a lot of patience, but it's a lot of fun. Um, but it's not just about the appointment and the grocery shopping. What do you get? You get connection with me, an Uber person, a um, podcaster, somebody who enjoys connection, somebody who enjoys to talk, somebody who's curious about the world, who's curious about your past, what you did, what your life was like, what were the highlights, what did you enjoy the most, what did you not enjoy the most, what do you want to leave the world with? If you could give me one piece of advice, what would it be? I love that. And most people enjoy it too because what's most people's favorite? Who who's most people's favorite person? Themselves. Who's their favorite person to talk about? Themselves. So, you know, it could seem like manipulation psychologically, but it's really not. I'm actually a curious guy. Um, I've mentioned this on podcasts before. Part of the reason I do solo episodes, I did my story, is, when I listen to a podcaster, it's because I connect to the host. There's plenty of content everywhere, a lot of good content, a lot of good podcasters. But in general, I have some sort of connection to the host and I want to know more about them. And so I get excited when um, some of the major podcasts I listen to, when those hosts go on other shows and they're guests, and I get to find out about them. That's what I love. And, I'm giving you guys the opportunity to figure out more about me. Um, and what I'm about. But I believe, when I came up with the Men of the House podcast. I'm sitting at the Waffle House. I'm alone. Maybe I'm looking at my phone, waiting on my food. So a stranger to the left of me, a stranger to the right. And it's like, hey, what's your story, man? What are you doing here? Yeah, my wife and kids are asleep. I walked here from the resort and trying to get my favorite because they don't really like it that much. And it's my place. I used to go and study there for when I went to University of Florida. I had one in my cul-de-sac, 24 hours. Go get the pork chop dinner, two pork chops, hash browns. Yes, sir. Mm-mm-mm. I'll take them scattered and chunked for all you connoisseurs out there. But yeah, it's the curiosity. It's my genuine love for other people. As much as I love other people, I fucking hate some of them too, because they're entitled motherfuckers. Entitled fucking mouth breathers. That's who I do not like. If you're that kind of person, stay the fuck away from me. Okay? When I say don't be a fucking mouth breather, that means unaware. You're so unaware because you're so fucking caught up in yourself that you have no idea that you took up two fucking parking spots because you're an asshole with your F-250 because you're entitled. I have small wiener and big truck. I deserve two spaces. Yeah, eat a dick. When you pull out your parking spot, hit the exit, make a right, and fuck all the way off. You are not my people. But you might be my people one day. Because one day you're going to stop being an asshole. You're going to be on your deathbed wishing you hadn't been such an asshole. And nobody's going to want to be by your side because you were a fucking asshole. Well, you can call me. We can resolve that. And even if you're an asshole, I'll sit to the end with you. I'll show you maybe you had some good qualities in there. It's never too late to change. It's never too late to be forgiven. I've done some horrible shit, but I believe God has forgiven me. I know He has, because I don't feel the shame and guilt I used to feel. You don't have to feel that either. And if you're not religious, it doesn't matter. I mean, you believe whatever you believe. But we're humans. We get the same ending. We have different beliefs, but like I say, hey, sometimes spirituality, religion's like water. Everybody needs water. Maybe you got a different name for it. Doesn't mean you still don't need it for your physical body, your spiritual body, and I'm talking about that spiritual water, not liquid death. Although I'd like to try their Killer Cola and Dr. Death. But yeah, that's where I'm gonna step in. But this is the new revolution of humanity. We're gonna make good people. I'm gonna get this thing going, and I'm gonna hire people, contract people, network people, because I don't want this to be just where I'm at. I want this to be global. I want everybody to have access to this. I want to be able from here to have an impact to say if you're in Massachusetts and you know someone who has the availability, as AI comes for jobs, what will AI never take away? This human connection. this community. AI is never going to replace that. So, hmm, you going to want to fucking hold a cold ass robot hand? You want a real human with a heartbeat who understands what the human condition and experience is like, the good times, the bad times, the joy, the wanting our kids to have it better than we did. That's who you want by your side. Somebody like me. And trust me, anybody I contract or hire for who will work for me one day, if you're one of those other people I mentioned before, you need not fucking apply. And I'll eventually like to expand it to offer psychedelic facilitation for end of life care. I would like to get that certification. I've looked into it and considered it at times, and as different treatments and things become approved, as they're starting to see the benefits of psychedelics on a lot of our veterans, um, perhaps those will come into use near end of life. I know they already use psilocybin for some of that, but I want to be able, you know, if you're a veteran and you know other veterans, but it doesn't start just near at the end of life. We have a couple of clients now, like I said, that they have mobility problems or they can't drive or they don't have vehicles and they need people. We do that too. So it's that later in life to end of life management for whatever reason. So I'm going to want people to be directing if you know someone who needs that, hit me up, let me know. Maybe they just need a visit, you know? We'll set it up to where, hey, it'll be reasonable. Here's 20 bucks. Please go check on this person and spend an hour with them. You cover gas and time, depending on where it is, depending on how much, you know. I keep it fair and relative. I think the gentleman I helped the other day, it wasn't a lot. It was what he could afford, and he offered to buy me lunch, which I was fasting that day and I declined. But, it worked out to 10 bucks or less an hour. I have a master's degree. I could be making way more, but I was grateful for that. I know that's what he has, and he gave what he had, and he's appreciative of it. And, I just happen to be in a situation where a lot of my overhead is low. I have cars that are paid for. I live in a place that's paid for on land that's paid for. Multi-generational, of course, but we all chip in. So some people would see that as I don't know, like less than, but now it works for us. And it allows me to be the person I want to be, do the things I want to do, and pursue what is important to me. You know, money comes and goes. Bigger house is just more fucking maintenance, more bills, especially if you're never there. I don't know. It just kind of depends your situation. You do you. And what's important and valuable to you may not be the same for me. But, when it comes near the end and it's that time, your priorities might shift and you'll realize that it was probably never about any of that. It was about who were you as a man, as a person? What did you stand for? Did you stand for righteousness? Were your intentions pure? Sometimes we fuck up, but we don't intend to. It doesn't come from a malicious spot. We just make errors. We fail, and I get that. I understand that more than anyone. And you may get to that point where you realize that too. And you just need somebody who can be there with you, understands. And that's where we'll be stepping in. So if you're listening and you feel powerless to make a difference, remember, you don't have to change the world. Just sit beside someone who needs to know they still matter. That's how we start changing humanity. Being present, one presence at a time. Nobody should have to die alone. And until next time, go out and be the person that you would want to meet. As I'm trying to do the same. So till next time, peace out, look for the come up, spread the word, get involved. I'm focusing on my men's groups because, hey, I read an article of a gentleman 3 to 4 years older than me who passed away. So your end of life services may not be when you're fucking 75, okay? They may be when you're 52. But I have a place now, Facebook and WhatsApp. It's kind of an accountability group, but it's really just a men's group where there are other men, other connections. I'm in there. You're seeing what I'm doing. You're seeing what I'm about. We need connection, especially as men. So, yeah, I gave you the ending, the call to action a little bit early and then went back on the tangents. But hey, I love it. I'm excited about this and I'm looking forward to seeing this come to fruition. And I'm excited about the people who are going to partake and other people who are going to be interested in. I'm scared. I'm nervous. I don't know how to make this work in a way, being an entrepreneur, but I'm going to messy action my way through it with the assistance of business coach and, other resources and taking notes from other entrepreneurs. Um, the business part's the business part, but I got the human part. I know what needs to happen there. And as long as I lead with that, we're going to be okay. So, like I said, till next time, go out and be the person you would want to meet. And remember, nobody should have to die alone.
Let go. Asteroid of fear.